Have you ever felt like you're doing meaningful work, but you're barely making ends meet? Do you ever wonder if it's possible to be well paid and well aligned for your career? Are you starting to question whether your purpose has to come at a cost of prosperity or vice versa? Listen, if you found yourself nodding to any of these questions, this episode is a must watch because today, you can say that today, I have the perfect guest who will walk us through it. What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevate It podcast, where it stands for inner tugging, that divine pull, that God pull, universe, source, life, whatever you want to call it, but that pull that is guiding us in self-awareness, in relationship, and spiritual unfolding through inner work. I am your host, Christian F. Johnson. Now let's go. Listen, we have a very special guest that I am excited about, who is a Harvard MBA grad. I mean, she is a USA Today bestselling author and a creator of the Good Works Spiral. Listen, her book, I'm telling y'all, listen to me. Work That's Worth It is a timely blueprint for ambitious professionals seeking a career that's not only impactful, but rewarding. Her message is one that, at just a glimpse, y'all, I'm telling you, has changed my life for the better. Elevation Nation, would you please put your virtual hands together and please help me welcome my new friend Georgie to the Elevate It podcast. All right? Welcome.
Hi, Christian. I am really delighted to be here, and that was an outstanding introduction. Thank you.
My pleasure. How are you?
I am doing incredibly well on this beautiful Monday morning.
I love it. So, Elevation Nation, look, Georgie is my new friend. You guys don't know this, but when we get on any guest that comes on the Elevated podcast, I have a personal connection or a conversation with them. We kind of get to know you. And I wish that we had hit record just at our get to know you phase. The connection, Elevation Nation, the light, the love, the authenticness that Georgie has pertaining to this, not a book, I'm calling it a movement. It has been life-changing. Now, I am not all the way through the book, I want to say that, but what I have read not only just resonates with me, but I'm going to do something that I have never done before out of all 79 episodes, okay? And that is, I want to talk from chapter 1 of your book because it really hit me. Elevation Nation, it's titled The Well-Rewarded Disruptor. Listen, y'all, the title alone, right, draws you in. But Georgie talks about a client named Grace. And for Georgie, if you can help me out and let Elevation Nation know, or can you just summarize Grace's story and share with us kind of why you chose her story to open your book?
Yeah, well, that actually is an interesting story, and I am so happy that resonated with you because I wrote the first version of the book and I gave it to test readers. And one of the most important comments that I got back from my test readers, who actually teaches the kind of people that I really would like to read the book, she said, "I am not sure entirely who the book is for and what you're trying to tell." And that for me felt really fundamental. So I went back to the drawing board and spent another year rewriting the book. And at the beginning of that process, I was told, you need to be writing this book for one person. And there are lots of that one person, but focus on one person. Who in your life, that if your life ended tomorrow, you'll be so sad this message didn't get to. And that is what gave me the focus of Grace, of a compilation of clients, but a story that I hear very often, which is somebody that is so excited and passionate to do good in the world and really want to contribute positively, but they get into this mindset where they cannot receive for their work. And so they end up burning out. And those are the people that I want to say, you are the kindest, most giving, generous people in our world, and we need to give you a bigger platform. So that is how Grace came about.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Because let me tell you, look, I could almost name this episode "I Am Grace" for multiple reasons in multiple ways. I have dealt with the area of burnout, even to this place and this space, like right now where we are. It just hits my heart for how many leaders have dealt with this. And Elevation Nation, we've had a episode or two about this. And the various things that hit my heart and my mind within this is the fact that there is help. And Georgie wrote us a book that can walk us through this very thing. So let's talk a little bit about Grace. How common is her experience among high achieving, mission driven professionals?
Yeah, I see it so often, and sometimes even I'll scroll through social media comments to see what people are reacting about work and burnout, and it's so often like it's the teachers, the nurses, it's or the people working for not-for-profits that are dedicating so much time to doing good, and they are not sustaining the life that they would like to live. And so they start to burn out and even feel resentful to other people who are making lots of money and not maybe contributing positively to the world. And they may even consider that path for themselves, which I personally feel would be such a loss for society if these people who really want to do good in the world can't find options to do good where it works for them and works for the world.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Because it just hits me in that area. Like with far as Grace is concerned, like you talked about that unrewarded doer, good doer. And it just so many things that really connect with me within that. Um, I've come up from that background where we have that heart and mind posture. Like you do good. It's about doing good in the world, doing good in the earth, and they don't always equate where you're doing good and you're told to detach from the area of the result. But this is such a very result driven world that we're in, and let's not say that again. You still have to pay your bills. You still have to do what you need to do, and sometimes it's felt like it's the either or and or not a both. But you do an amazing job in chapter 1 when you're speaking about these quadrants, and this quadrant pertaining to the unrewarded good doer is something that I need you to please. I'm asking you to break this down for us because I need to know some of these signs. Because everybody, Elevation Nation, you're going to get the book. Okay, it's not just the area of just trying to sell the book. It's life changing. Okay, you guys know I'm not just trying to push and promote. I really resonate with this story because I believe that we all find ourselves in these quadrants, if not one time, two times, if not a year throughout your life, right? So I want to take time to talk about this first one right here, the unrewarded do-gooder, and share with us some of these signs.
Yeah. Well, the most common word I heard when interviewing people who fit into this quadrant was burnout. But I will tell you the most extreme that I heard was my life is a pit of despair. And this is from somebody who was doing aid work and similar to the story of Grace and traveling a lot for work and really had a job that was really difficult to get. And she was getting high fives for her work from all the outside world saying what amazing work you do. She was doing really well at this job. So it was meeting her ambition, but it was not sustainable because she was earning so little. And so it involved self-sacrifice. And I think that for her, she was at the precipice of deciding whether to become an investment banker and giving up all the good that she was doing in the world. And she noticed that she started to feel maybe not jealous, but signs of frustration that her peers and friends were able to go on vacation and put down a mortgage on a house, and their jobs were way less heavy in quotes, so they could get to the weekend and let go work and enjoy life. And her work was incredibly challenging and difficult to separate from in life and not carry the stories that she was seeing and the difficulty of actually even doing the work emotionally. And so she was looking for an escape. And when I graduated from UC Berkeley way back when, I really wanted to do good in the world. And I couldn't find opportunities that met my ambition at the time. So I ended up getting into the tech world, which felt like it was had no contribution that I was really looking to make, but I felt really excited about the skills I was learning and the ladder I was climbing for success. But I ended up having to volunteer on the side to meet the part of my heart that I really wanted to feel more connected to. And I didn't know that I could find both things in a job. And so I sort of thought that we were in this either or place where we either had to do good or do well. And kids on college campuses are still getting presented the same binary choice that I had many years back.
Wow. So we can have both.
We can definitely have both, and there's a growing category of people. What simply put, is where you have income and impact, and there's. I think when you're talking about these quadrants, what I like to ask people to do is ask where they feel they fit. So I would never want to be the police assigning people where they fit into what quadrant, because, for instance, one teacher may feel that they're the unrewarded do-gooder, and another teacher may feel very rewarded from the work that they're doing and enjoy that they have the summers off, feel incredibly inspired by motivating youth. And so they may feel like a disruptor for good. But I think it's really important, especially for the unrewarded do-gooder, to be able to have the conversations about compensation, because without understanding what reward you want for your work, you are limiting your potential. And when I say potential, it's not just your potential to earn, but the largeness of the good that you have in your heart. Where can we land it so that you are able to have a bigger platform, a louder voice, and to raise your hand in boardrooms and C-suites so that we can have those kind-hearted people in those positions?
Thank you. That's powerful. So I'm gonna try to do this, Georgie. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But I'm gonna try to do this. So within the four quadrants, we mentioned the first one, and so I believe we also have the replaceable employee, which can equal resentment. We have the uninspired achiever, which could equal regret, and the well rewarded disruptor, which obviously is the area of empowerment. And so we're being empowered. And so within those three or the four, and the very first one that I mentioned, it's hit my heart and mind. Like you said, so we're going to turn this into a case study for Christian right now. Okay, y'all, we're just going to use myself as a perfect example to go ahead and do this, right? So looking at this, I've identified with all four of the quadrants. I guess if I would pick one today, now this may feel different tomorrow, all right? If I would feel one today, maybe we can speak on that a little bit. I think that I probably am flirting with the well-rewarded disruptor, but here's the part that I would like to talk through, because I feel rewarded in what I do, but all the hats that I have, it takes for me to feel that. Like, I'm not just getting that from one field. I'm not just getting that from one thing. So for me, as a director of operations part-time for a ministry, for a podcast host, for a life coach, for an author, as an ordained minister, there's a speaker. I have all those hats, that's going on, even the father and husband, and all those things. So all those things work together. but not just one is providing the income level that I desire or want. So that's one reason why I went into business and now I can be contracted out for various these things. But I want you to just speak to some of those things to kind of see, is that normal? Is that regular? Is that good? How should we kind of function with all those?
Yeah, I love that you brought it up, and I will say, hopefully not annoyingly, but there's not one size fits all. So I think just knowing that you want to be compensated well for your work and have an impact, which I call a contribution to the world, then I think you are already on your way to becoming a disruptor for good, or perhaps already there. So I think in your case, what you have just described is you need multiple threads to combine all the aspects that you would like to have in your life. And the average career is 90,000 hours. And without some of those threads, you may very well not get to use your potential for those 90,000 hours. So I think you have found a way to be able to do the work that's really important to you, your contribution, and make sure that you're compensated. And sometimes in society, for external reasons, like we can't change what teachers get paid in the short term. I wish we could, but they are undervalued for the work that they do. So in that situation, how would you be able to get more compensation? And maybe that needs to be on the side through tutoring or doing something in the summer. But it comes down to job craft, where you need to find the work that is able to bring in the elements of it that are important to you so that you can continue the good that you want to do for your 90,000 hours.
Powerful. Wow.
And
Wow.
nobody ever talks about that number, 90,000 hours. I mean, I was a Harvard Business School graduate, as you have mentioned, and went through that incredible program. And nobody ever sort of talked about the totality of those hours. Like when you think of it, everybody starting out in their career is rich in hours. We don't know what life's going to bring for us, but what we do know is we can make the assumption that we'll get to the average age. And so that 90,000 hours is a huge amount of time. And when you think of it as a third of your adult life, the same amount of time you're spending sleeping, it's so important to be intentional with that time for your soul, for who you are, for the life you want to live, for how you'll be remembered. And I don't know why we don't think about it or bring that up more often. And this is not my number. I read it in the Harvard Business Review when I was inspired first to write the book. But and obviously it's different depending where you live and how much vacation you take or if you take time off. But we are can all assume that we have a powerful amount of hours to spend in our lifetime. And being intentional with those hours is really an important step.
Wow. All right, Georgie, I'm gonna go on a rant a little bit, so just go with me, okay? Because you're hitting a lot. So the thing that really hits my heart right now is, if Elevation Nation, if you really listen into what I'm hearing Georgie say, and again, after I'm done, feel free to jump in, Georgie. But it hits me that sometimes we put pressure on ourselves that it has to be a certain way, success or what this looks like. So it has to be from the one job, or it has to be a number of jobs, or whatever it can be. But from what I like to say, from your inner tugging, your role, you realize that yes, maybe we are in the area where tech has led you in this particular way, and you're realizing that that can pay the bills and that does good. But then there's an element where you just want to care for people, and you may be following yourself in the area of volunteering pertaining to that. Well, one provided the paycheck, and there's some hours in there, but there's some area of care that you do. But again, we're not limiting to that, because I think we need to be open with the universe, being open what that is. It doesn't have to just be one thing. It doesn't have to be many, but also what you resonate with. She's saying, okay, Christian, I hear what you're saying. You like those different strands and putting those things together, and it's different seasons. If you put me in an office and leave me there and I have to stay there all day, I will go crazy. So I have to have the flexibility to go ahead and do that. I'm that true creative that comes from that area. So Elevation Nation, listen, sit with yourself. Ask yourself the question, are you able to look within Are you able to find that place to see where you are? What are you visualizing? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Like, open up the dream, see it, believe it, feel it. Realize that. Look, Grace had struggles when y'all read chapter 1, right? Grace, I think, dealt with some guilt, wanting more income, dealing with some dismantling of false beliefs. Purpose and prosperity, can they coexist? Like, we are answering some of these things. The answer is yes, they can coexist, but sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves. So as we move forward, and we're getting ready to hear more from Georgie, but if you're at a place and you feel like you've been putting that pressure, I just want to invite you to take the moment right now. You don't have to wait till we're done. Take the moment right now. Take a deep breath and just relieve the pressure. Let it go, because all things are working together for your good. And this episode right here may just be what you need to realize that there's an open door. There's always been an open door. You just have to navigate that with that inner tugging to go ahead and just willing to explore it. And you need a book like this, a coach like Georgie and the such, and the whole movement that can really help us realize that we're not crazy. Talk to us.
No, you're not crazy. Yeah, I love that you resonate with this character, Grace, and I think it's such an important part of our conversation, because so many people do feel stuck, and I think the very first step would be just to know that you can have income and impact together, and that you don't have to choose one or the other, because once you acknowledge that and really let that sink in, opportunities, you're going to start to see opportunities or see people doing it. And like you said, we do get in these confines where we have a visual or an expectation of what that looks like. And sometimes we just have to open that aperture so that we are more open to seeing how to build and craft the life that we really want to be living. And so I think what you have done is you are building the pieces in that give you the full picture. Would we like that full picture to be in one job? Yes, maybe that would be easier. Sometimes that does work. And I often spend time meeting and finding those role models. But there is no one size fits all of this. But just knowing that you can have both is a really important step, because I think people like Grace, who are feeling incredibly burnt out by the work that they're doing, they start to feel stuck, and they start to feel that they can't switch, or they have the guilt, like you said, where they feel their job in the world is to do good. And that keeps those people small. That the people who are burnt out, who are on the last energy that they have in their body to give to the world, we need them to be vibrant and full of energy and fulfilled to be able to do their magic. We can't expect them to do their magic when they are depleted. And so it's such an important part of anyone that does feel that they're overly giving. Why can't you receive more? What is it? Is it something internal, or is it something external? So it's difficult to change what teachers are paid in the short term, but it's not difficult to change your own perspective of what you would like. And I think often people find those, especially the good people, feel like having desires or jealousy or wanting more is sort of incongruent with who they are as good people. And so they suppress that. But I would say use those little parts of you that says, oh, I wish I could go on vacation. You want more, and that is okay. We need you replenished. And so, you're nodding your head, so I'm imagining that you have felt that guilt or that pressure of wanting more and not feeling comfortable with wanting more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you said burnout, and then I'm thinking about like the emotional tax as well. So can we talk a little bit about the emotional tax and like how it impacts that our income, our impact driven work, right? Like, there's a lot of people that I know have burnout or feeling the burnout because of that. They're just so emotionally attached to what it is, especially when I'm coaching and dealing with ministers and pastors and different things like that. So much giving so much, giving so much, giving so much, at a place of burnout and feeling like that. And they're just feeling like, I know some right now who are in a place where I feel like I just want to give it up and quit, or if not worse, leave this earth. So can you speak to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to listen to what you say. I've got two thoughts, but the first is altruism and this idea of giving without receiving. And if I am in the line of a coffee shop and I decide to buy the person behind me a coffee as a good deed, I get so much from that. I get to start my day and I feel really excited and I've put some good vibes out into the world, good energy, and I feel good. So I didn't just give, I received. And I think there is something really important in that, and the work that you're doing when you are giving, it's okay to receive. Because if we're not allowing ourselves um, to be replenished, the energy to come back, then we do burn out. And so I think there's like a an expectation on good people that they should just be doing good without receiving anything. I believe receiving is such an important part of the doing good because it allows us to be bigger. And I don't know if you resonate with that. That it's it's there's like a shame in receiving for some of the many people who are doing great work.
Yeah, 100% I resonate with that because, well, universal law as well pertaining to giving and receiving or karma, whatever anybody wants to go ahead and call it. But it is an exchange. It's a divine exchange that we give and we receive. And I love what you did because sometimes I think we don't see that we are. There is a reward. I'll say it that way. Maybe sometimes we have to learn how to receive, but again, maybe it's not dollar for dollar. Maybe I did a good deed and I'm expecting somebody to say, oh, okay, well, you did a good deed. Let me give you a paycheck. It doesn't always equate that way, but there is things that the universe, that God, source, love, go and gives us. And we have that. Maybe it's the area of the joy or the breath in your body or there's something. But then you get to the point and place to realize, no, like, it's okay. I feel like sometimes we can limit ourselves because of the belief system, and that's where I personally have resonated with. I grew up from an area of realizing that some people would say money is the root of all evil. Well, that's improper quoting of the text that's being talked about. It says the love of money, but when you really look at the original Greek language of it, it's really saying like it's greed. It's just operating from a place that's putting it above the heart posture of that. But if you're hearing that, you're thinking, well, money's bad. No, it's not. The same book that says that also says that money answers all things. So how can it be horrible and bad if it also answers all things? So understanding that concept and that mindset gets me to the place to realize there has to be something deeper. And this is what I believe, no matter what religion, race, culture, whatever you realize, these principles are transferable. And the truth is, if we love people and do good and release our goodness and come from there and release that energy, that frequency, and that vibration, then the universe is going to be like, let me reward you for those things. And you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to keep track of that. As you are operating in that place, cooperating with the divine, there is a place of advancement where your name will come up in boardrooms, your name will come up in spaces, and somebody will say, oh, I remember Georgie, we need to contact. That will go above any application, that will go beyond any degree, that will go beyond any of those things if we just stay true to our truth. The preacher's
Yeah.
coming out. I'm sorry, Georgie.
No, it's beautiful, and I want to just expand a little bit on a thought of. Oftentimes, I will meet with young people who are graduating from college who are resisting the investment banks and the consulting firms and big tech, and they feel that anything other than a not-for-profit would be a sellout, and they use that word. I am not going to sell out. And I just want to give an example. I worked with a young woman who graduated from a top university, and her job was, or her contribution she wanted to make the world is she was absolutely passionate about ending factory farming. And she worked for a small not-for-profit, and she did some workshops and really hustled to get a very little traction. And she was feeling very burnt out and frustrated, but cornered in because she had sort of termed this, if I do anything else, I'm selling out. And we eventually talked about what she really wanted to do. And I asked her the question of, what if instead of fighting something, you grew something? So in her case, what if you were growing something on regenerative farming? And you could spend time, like, because she was actually great at finance, and spend time in a model where they were raising funds to help grow regenerative farms. And that would allow her to make a lot more money, but it would grow something that is really the antidote of what she wants to keep, make less. And so we just opened up that channel for her, and it was really hard. She had the resistance inside of that would be selling out. It would be selling out if I went into venture capital. It'd be selling out if I went close to money. And so we had to talk about it a lot and make sure it was the right decision for her. But the reason I'm bringing it up is often we put these confines on ourselves. And so thinking more broadly about the contribution you want to make, it's not about if it's not for profit or not. It's about where can you land the contribution the best. And sometimes that is not for profit. Like Khan Academy is a wonderful company that I talk about in my book, which has been so successful because of its not for profit model. But there are other models. Another example from the book is a company called Virta Health that is aiming to end diabetes and obesity in 1 billion people, 1 billion. And that is a wonderful model where for-profit works very well. The better the company does, the more people they can help. And so I think one of the confines is letting yourself go of the tax structure of not-for-profit, for-profit, and finding a place where your contribution can reach its potential. And so that's an important aspect that sort of gives you the freedom to think beyond what you may have thought about was possible for you.
I love it. You said something about resistance. How do we release that resistance? Because I feel like that's a big one. And you said you work with some clients on that. So how do we release that resistance, that comparison, that something inside of us where I'm not going to do this, those inner vows that we're doing? Because that could be a form of a blocker, right? For
Yeah.
what it is that we're thinking of. So what steps do you have for us?
Well, and what you just said earlier, which is money is the root of all evil. Is that the words? I'm not sure of your exact words, but that is a systemic it's a phrase that's been passed down to you through generations. And so one of the important aspects is understanding your blocks and where do they come from. So another similar one would be you have to work really hard to do well. That's not necessarily true. Some people do really well and don't work hard. It's not a core ingredient of doing well. And so often we are given these systemic statements from growing up that we have heard from family or teachers, and we start to believe them as truths, and they start to confine us. So I would say the first is to understand what those systemic statements are that are limiting you, and understanding the origin of it, and challenge them and see if you can find examples that are outside that and open it up for yourself.
So it's okay to challenge the thought.
Yeah. The end goal is to live a life of fulfillment, and where you can well, I'm going to jump to a different example, which I interviewed an amazing human recently who works in South Africa, and his job is to help youth unemployment. And he used to be climbing up this corporate ladder of what I call in the book the uninspired achiever. And he did incredibly well, and it was actually quite easy for him. He sold his company, and he was at a pause where he had to think about exactly what he wanted to do next. And somebody whispered in his ear, "Come spend a day at a social enterprise." And he went, and it's been 15 years later, and he's completely invigorated. And what invigorated him is the challenge was so great that it absolutely chews on every cell of his body on how to solve it. And it's not easy for him. And that's what gives him reward. A problem that is so great and so difficult that he feels completely engaged. And when you listen to people like that, they say, "I'm so proud of my work. I'm proud of how I spend my time. I love what I do. I would do it for free." They say these kinds of things that when you're not in that world, you actually don't believe that's possible. But there are lots of people who feel that about the work that they do. And so it's much more difficult to change the systemic barriers, but the internal barriers are in your control to change. And so if you do have systemic statements that are holding you back, it's time to challenge those so that you allow yourself more light, more love, more interest, more challenge, more excitement, more fulfillment. And I think that is what is possible when you do this inner work. But it does require work. It's not a switch you can just flip.
I love inner work. I love inner work. And Elevation Nation, you know that we do this. So I want to encourage you. This is an episode. Go back, listen to some of the things that Georgie has said. Get the book, but share this with somebody else. Because this is the type of thing that not only I feel like you're going to need, it's the thing that's going to continue to speak to you, because there's an unfolding, there's a development, there is something that has happened, especially for my creatives who are identifying with that, where this thing shifts and you guys are like me, you're feelers, the empaths, and you're going with this flow, you're dealing with these things and you're seeing these things. Like, go with the flow. It's a beautiful journey. We make the decision to go ahead and move forward with there. So I want to take the time and set up Georgie for this good alley-oop, because I think there's somebody listening or watching us today and they see themselves identifying with Grace's story. Okay. And so, you know, they're at that place where they're like, look, I feel like I know it's not the fact that I don't have vision. I have vision. I know I want to do some things, but navigating this career path, navigating, navigating that has kind of been difficult for me. So I need a small but powerful shift that I can make this week so that I can begin crafting a career that's worth it. So what would you say to that version of Grace that is watching, that is listening right now, that wants to start beginning to craft that career that's worth it?
Yeah, I think so many of us are unaware of our natural genius. And so if I had to say the very first place to start is, what are your gifts? What do people come to you for? What do you want to be known for? Where do you really shine? And I spent the first half of my career leveling up weaknesses. And I think if you want to become a disruptor for good, the first thing you need to do is to be really aware of where you're exceptional, where you stand out. And so I would say the easiest way is to ask 5 to 10 of your friends, coaches, mentors, family members. Ask them, what do you perceive as the areas that I stand out, and see what comes back. And let that sink in. There are also lots of tests you can do to find strength, like Strength Finder and those kind of things, that I would say never limit yourself to what comes back from those tests, but use them as doors and opportunities to peek inside and see if it resonates with you. But get comfortable with where you are really shining in a room. Know what that is and be able to communicate that to others and own it. Because so many of us may even have an inkling of what that is, but we would feel boastful or ashamed to actually own that space and take up that part of the room. And I think becoming a disruptor for good, one of the qualities I saw in all the people I interviewed was that they are very comfortable with their strengths and what they do, and not in a boastful way, in an empowering, invigorating way. And so that, I would say, is your homework number one. Know where you shine, know what your gifts are.
I love it. I love it. Georgie, this has been amazing. And I really can talk to you and talk to and talk to you. But I want to know where our listeners can find you online. What platforms are you on? And also tell us where we can grab a copy of your book.
Yeah, the book is online anywhere where you purchase books, and I will say bookshop.org is a perfect place to start. And also, I can be found online at georgienthoven.com, and I presume you have show notes, right, Christian? Yeah, because it's a little bit hard to spell, but you can find me there, and workthat'sworthit.com for the book specifically. Instagram is probably the platform that I spend the most time on and share the most content, but I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. And so, yeah, whatever channel makes sense for you. And I really would love to hear what's resonating with people, and what's important, and what the barriers are, and what makes your work worth it in the end of the day.
Love it. Love it. Please leave comments, connect with Georgie, get her book. And like I always tell you guys, and I say this, but I do mean this. With books, it's nothing like reading with somebody else and accountability. There's a number of times I grab a book or I listen to a book, audio book, and I'm like, hey, babe, talking to my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm reading this, check this out. What do you think? I just like to get the different perspectives. I like to kind of grow and do that. So I would even say, don't just grab a book for yourself, grab a book for a friend, grab a book for a spouse, grab a book for somebody else. Or you've heard this and you said, identify with this. I know this would take somebody else to the next level. Get a book for them as well and just continue to do that. And then reach out to Georgie, give your feedback, give some testimonials. Maybe you even need a book, or because this is a message that needs to go out into the whole world, because the whole realm of us who've been needing this type of information so that we can move forward and truly operate from our isness. All right. So please get the book, follow, like, subscribe, newsletters, everything she has out there. I'm sure it's gold. So let's continue to do that and not only support the work, believe in it, because it will be applied to our being. All right. So, Georgie, before we go, I need you to leave us with a word of encouragement, a word of empowerment, something transformational that we can carry out with us the rest of this week.
I'm going to share my word with you because it is the word that I have for this year for myself. And the word is expansion. And so that is the word that I'm having to make sure that I honor in this year of my book launch, because I am somebody who could quite easily be in the Unrewarded Do-Gooder quadrant, and I find myself sometimes limiting my own opportunities by saying, okay, let me think about it, I'll see how that goes, maybe I'll take you up on it. So if you honor the word expansion, you just say yes when the opportunities come to you that allow you to play bigger. And so, yeah, that's what I would love to share.
Thank you so much. Expansion. Write it down. Let's put it in our hearts. Let's breathe it in. Let's receive that expansion. I love it. Georgie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your journey, your revelation with us in Elevation Nation. You are a true gift. And so you stick with me. We're going to have a couple more things that we're going to do. I'm going to give a couple announcements and get it out the way. But let's continue to move forward and let's continue to be all that we are cultivated to be. Elevation Nation, as you always know, thank you for showing up and being who you are in this season and in this time. My prayers is only good, great, and awesomeness will continue to flow to you and through you. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. You can share this with somebody. You can review. If you didn't get your pen and paper, go back, pause it. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube. That's the beautiful thing about Spotify. It's the beautiful thing about all these platforms, okay? You can pause them, get what you need out there so you get your expansion. So whatever it is in your heart and mind, I'm tag teaming with Georgie, and we are speaking, believing, and declaring expansion from the inside out. All right, Elevation Nation. So stay tuned, stay plugged in, and stay vibing high as you can. You are amazing. You are awesome. You are great. And we will see you next week.